Hello everyone. So in this video tutorial we are going to do the lab practice on the concepts that we learned in this chapter, that is how to include audio and video files, how to do transform, transition and animation properties, and drop down menu. So these are the things that we learned in this chapter. So we are going to apply these concepts in the food and fitness lab practice. So to apply these concepts, we are going to create new page called facilities page. So in the facilities page, we are going to perform some transition, okay, a basic animation by using transition property like this, and we are going to include some YouTube video, external video using iframe, and also we are going to change the navigation. We are going to perform a small animation by changing the background color and font color of navigate that links. So let's get started. So we have to use like the chapter 10 as starting file. So you can copy the chapter 10 file as the previous file, the form handling, previous lab practice file as a starting file. Copy and paste, and we're going to use this as a starting file. So what are the extra files that we need to perform this? So we need these 4 images. Okay, in addition to that images that we have, we need 4 images. So I have copied that. So I have downloaded some free images, pattern free images from this website. Okay, so you can just take any image that can go along with your website. Some the image which does not have pattern issues. So you can see I have downloaded these images and renamed. So these are the 4 images that I am going to use for the animation. Okay, so now let's open the page. So first we have to create a new page, right? So for that I'm going to take this index page as a starting page, and then I'm going to rename it as facilities.html. Okay, so you have to include this new page, facilities page, in all the web pages. For that, let's open all the pages. So I'm going to add this new page. So before the registration page, we want to add this page. So I'm just adding this facilities page in all the pages. So we have to add that in facilities page itself. Okay, so I have added the new page, facilities page, in all 5 pages: index, food, fitness, facilities and registration. Okay, now let's modify the facilities page. Okay, so we don't want any of this content here. Okay, so we are going to delete all the main content. So we are going to delete all the main content, and we are just going to include this content. So explore our facilities. So this is going to be there. So that is going to be the h2 tag. So we are going to add h2 tag saying explore our facilities. And then after that we are going to create a separate div tag to handle this animation. Okay, so the div ID is going to be animation. Okay, so for that this image, the first image is going to be the constant image. It should be there. So let's create that first image by using figure tag. Okay, so that I'm going to use this image name is photo1.div. So this is the image that I'm going to use, that is going to be there. Without any animation, the image should be there. So I'm going to add this photo1.gif, and the width is going to be some 400 and height is going to be 300 and text alternative is gym center facilities. Okay, so we are done with the figure. So what we have done is, like, without animation, this particular image should be always there. So we have created that. Now we have to add all these small tile image. Okay, and then when you hover over it, it should display the big image in the position of this figure, of this particular figure image. So in this place, all the other images needs to get displayed. Okay, so how to handle that? First, let's create that UL. These 4 images needs to be listed as an ordered list. Okay, so all the images are going to be added as li tag, list elements. Okay, so inside the list element, we are going to create a tag where we are going to add all these images, starting with photo 1. So when you hover over that photo 1, this big image, okay, so when you hover over that, so the big image needs to get displayed. So we are creating small tile. So the small tile image is going to take only 100 of width, .75 height. So you can see I'm coding this. So the small image width is 100 and height is 75. So we are just coding this, not this. Okay, we are just coding this tile image display. Height is 75 and alt is gym center facilities. Okay, so now we are going to create an element to display that big image. For that, we are going to create a span tag. So inside that span tag, we want to display the bigger version of the small image. So inside this small span tag, I'm creating this, I'm adding this image source, but this time we want to display it in bigger size. So the width is 400 and height is 300. Okay, and when we hover over it, it should say what is this facility. So you can see the yoga center facility, meditation center. So like that, it should give the title. Okay, so to add that title, under that big image display, we are adding this content. Save. So if you open this page, you can see this figure image is getting displayed, and then we have added this small tile image and this big image. So this is how it should look like at this point. And now we are going to add the content for other images. Okay, so 3 more images for other facilities, yoga, meditation and other facilities. So now we have to update so I have named all other images as like photo 2, photo 3, photo 4. So I'm just updating the content accordingly. So please follow along. I'm just updating the content to particular the facilities name. So gym facility, and this one is yoga facility, and this one is meditation center facility. Save and refresh the page. Okay, so this one I want to name it as food counseling and cooking classes. So I want to update this content as food counseling okay. So we have to just update the alternative description. So you can see I have updated the alternative description for all the images, and I have altered the content, the image actual file name. Okay, so now the page should look like this. Okay, so we have added all the content. So let's add the iframe image as well. So I have just taken some YouTube video just for this demo purpose. I have just added some YouTube video using iframe. So I'm going to create a separate div to hold this video. So I'm just going to name this ID for the div as video. So this is going to have some H2, watch some yoga tips. Okay, so here I have, you can just pick any YouTube video. So I have just taken some YouTube video related to yoga just for this demo purpose from this Bright Side YouTube channel. Okay, so then to include iframe, we have to click this share. So if you click the share, the first thing that you will get is the embed option. So if you click that embed option, it will give you the iframe tag. Just copy that iframe tag and add it where you want to include this image. Okay, just add this iframe tag. Save. And if you refresh this page, you will see we have included this YouTube video by using iframe. Okay, so the content is all set. Now we have to modify the content. We have added all the animation and everything. Now we have to modify the CSS so that we can have the animation effect. So I'm going to do the animation in the same page because this page is kind of a little bit different from other pages. So to include the styling, I'm going to use the embed tag. So the embed styling we can do within the same page, because this styling will be applied only to this page. Okay. So using embed tag, I'm going to perform the animation. So our current page looks like this, but we have to modify it like we should display this image only when we hover over this image. Okay, so how to change that, how to modify the CSS in a way that it would display only when we hover over. So for that, first we have to create, like we have named this as, so we have this ID, animation ID that we have created. So first let's style that ID. So this ID is animation. So this ID animation is going to have position tag, which is going to be relative. So all the elements are relative to one another. The display of the elements are relative to one another. Okay, so then we can see that this has this small bulletin point. So we have to remove it. So we know to remove that we have to use list style type none, right? So we are going to do that. Animation, and in the UL tag we have to say list style type, and it should be none. Okay, and the width we have to just give that, like, these are 100 pixel, right? So with some padding we have to set some width for this. That is, we are speaking about the width of this whole tile holder. Okay, so for that we have to set the width of this whole unordered list. So the width is going to be 300 pixel. Save, and let's refresh the page, and you can see this is how it look like right now. So let's keep on updating the code. So the next thing that we are going to do is modifying the style of list element. Okay, so right now it is taking the full viewport. This tile image is taking the full viewport, but our goal is to make it like this. So it should take whatever space is needed. For that we have to make it like display inline, not the black level element. It should be inline element. We have to make it inline, and then it should float right? So for that we have to give float. The image should float in the side. Okay, so that is float left, and then we want to give some padding of 10 pixel. Save, okay, so we have just removed that list tile here. Still it didn't get floated, so we have to update the other content. So animation, the A tag, we have to remove this underline. For that we have to say text decoration none, and we are just adding some font styling. So font style italic. Let's font color is going to be black. So you can see we have modified the text. So let's keep on adding the other styles. So we have put it in, this big image is going to be in a span tag, right? So let's add some code for that. Animation span. So this one should be absolute position. So the other element can be anywhere, but this one should be here. Like when you hover over it, it should. These two can be relative to one another, but this position should be absolute. Okay, so for that we are saying it should be in absolute position. And then initially we don't want it to be here all the time. We don't want to display it. When we hover over the image, by that time only this big image needs to be absolute. For that, what we are going to do, we are going to keep it somewhere which, like some position which is not visible in the viewport. Okay, so we are just going to move it anywhere which is not visible in the viewport. For that, we are going to push it to -1000 pixel. That means it is going to be there, but it is not visible in the viewport because the position is -1000 pixel. Okay, so that it will be somewhere 1000 pixel in the left. Since it is minus, it will not be visible in the viewport. So we are going to add some transition. You can see when you hover over this image, this has some opacity. So that's why you'll be able to change it, see the transition from one image to another image. So to bring in that, we have to add some opacity. So first initially we set the opacity to 0, and then we are changing it when we hover over it. So when we hover over it, we want to change that opacity from 0 to something. Okay, so ease in out transition property, we are changing the opacity. Save. So if you refresh this page, you can see you will not see the image because the bigger image we have kept it somewhere in -1000 pixel position. So you will not see any of those images, and also you can see our LI element is displayed as per the code, floating to one another in the left side of one another, and it takes the whole this animation tile is taking only 300 pixel width. Okay, so we are progressing now. And now when we hover over the small images, we want to display this big image. To do that, animation A, when we hover over it in span. So we have 3 selectors. When we hover over it in the animation tab, in the span tab, we want to make it in the absolute position. Okay, in the absolute position, where the top we want to give some 10, 16, including the header, we want to give some 16 pixel, 15 pixel, 16 pixel width in the top, and in left already this whole div is taking 300, and then 10 plus 10 with padding. Let's give some 320 pixel width in the left side. Okay, and then text align center. And then finally we are going to change the opacity from 0 to 1. When we hover over this image, the opacity should change from 0 to 1. So let's update the code. Now we can see okay, so now we have to update this code, but this works exactly how we want to display. Okay, so to remove this image, to change this position, so this one we have coded within figure, right? Within figure we have coded this, so we have to add the style for that. So the figure element is going to take the position absolute, left since it is absolute, let's say 320 pixel, and text align center. So now you can see when we hover over the image, it's just getting displayed. Okay, so when in the normal procedure the figure image should take. So what we have done here is we have just given this animation hover, whatever the position of this hovering images, that should be the position of the figure element as well. The left 320 pixel position absolute and all those things we have to give, but except this opacity, because it should be there all the time. So except this opacity, we are just giving all the other styling of hovering images. So now we have to update this iframe. Okay, so the iframe should not be here. We have to move the position of that iframe. So to do that, let's add iframe selector. So that position should be relative, and then since it is relative, that is relative to this gallery, the animation image. Okay, so that relative 200 pixel relative to that animation tile, and then in left we want to give some, we want to centralize this content, then we want to give some padding the space between the footer area and the iframe. Save. So you can see we have modified this, we have pushed it little bit, we have to still update the code. So what we are going to do, we are going to add some div, we are going to modify the div, okay, to push it down. So video, so we want to keep the position relative, and top 180 pixel, and left and right is auto. So you can see we have placed it in like the bottom of this animation tile, but still we have to work on the placement. So I'm going to try this selector like video, and then inside that iframe I'm going to try this and see whether we are able to achieve that positioning. Iframe, and top we don't want some, we just want it below this animation tile. So top 0, left 0, and width 100%. Save and refresh the screen. Now we can see we have achieved this. So now all we need to do is we have to change this H2. So to change the position of the H2, still we have to make it as relative to the animation tile, and from the top it should be 160 pixel. Okay, so we have placed this H2 in correct position. Okay, so I just deleted this iframe selector because we have included the iframe with this div video ID. So I have just deleted the iframe selector, and save and refresh the screen. So you can see we have achieved what we want. So the final thing that we want to do is the animation here. Okay, so when we hover over this nav, we want to bring this animation effect, change the background color and font color. So for that, we have to modify the CSS, the main CSS, not the embedded CSS. We have to change the main CSS. So I'm going to open this CSS, and here I'm going to add, when we hover over this image, we want to bring that animation effect. So for that, to add that animation effect, this animation effect, we have to change the CSS. So I have opened the CSS here. So inside the nav tag, so when we hover over it, it should give that transition effect. Okay, so nav A, initially it does not display, but when we hover over it, we want to apply the transition here. So inside the nav A selector, say transition, what we want to change? We want to change the color and also the background color. 4 second. 4 second, and then ease in out. So in nav A hover, so here, so when we hover over it, we want to change the color should be changed, and also we want to change the background color as well. Okay, so when I hover over it, I want to change the font color and background color. So already we have given the font color, so now I am going to add some background color. Save and refresh the screen. So you can see I have changed the background color and font color. So when I hover over it, it takes some 4 seconds to do the transition. So to do this, I have updated the nav A hover selector, and I have included the transition in nav A. Okay, so yeah, so this is how we have added this. We have applied the concept that we learned in adding audio video files and then doing some transition. Okay, so thank you. So in the whole, if you follow along, starting from chapter 1, you can see this is our final look of this page, including all the HTML and CSS. So we have developed this page step by step, starting from the basic HTML. We have added whatever we learned. We have added that the particular chapter's content. So this is the final chapter where we have added some animation effect by including this facilities page. Okay, thank you.